Hello, my name is Yosef, and today we're going to do a lesson on the song Free to Be You and Me. Today we're going to learn a little bit of this song and its history, some useful phrasal verbs and collocations, how do you write our own verse to this song, and maybe present it to the class. Let's get started. Free to Be You and Me was a project that came about in the 1970s. And it came about because a woman named Marlo Thomas, who was very active in the women's rights movement and gaining equality between the genders, had a niece. And she wanted to read that niece stories. And what she found in the stories was that all the gender stereotypes she'd been working so hard politically to overcome were sitting there embedded in the stories we were still reading to our children. She wanted to inspire young children to use their imaginations and to break away from the gender stereotypes that had been so difficult for her and that she'd been working politically so hard to overcome. She knew that the best way to change people's minds was through music and laughter. And so she put together an album of music and songs and stories that together inspired people to make the changes that she was working to make on a political side, she wanted to also make with the children. So here are some of the musicians and artists who were involved. You may recognize Marlo Thomas herself, or Mel Brooks, who's a very funny comedian. You may recognize Michael Jackson or Dionne Warwick, both famous singers. In the 1970s, Michael Jackson was about 8 years old when this was recorded. There are many, many, many more famous artists who were involved in this project. And if you're interested, Google it, Free to Be You and Me, and you'll find out a lot of famous people you didn't know had been in a part of this project long ago. So let's take a look at the title. What do you think Free to Be You and Me means? I can't hear you. What do you think the title means? Well, brainstorming is kind of difficult in this format, but here are some of the things I think you may have said. You may have heard the idea of freedom in this title. You may have heard the idea that you should be yourself. It's there in this title. The whole idea of individuality, that anybody can be what he or she wants to be, is there. There's also some element of us being the same. And that we're free to be you and me also could mean, don't tell me who I should be. There are so many more interpretations. I'm sure you're shouting at your computer screen and telling me that I've got it wrong and you've got a different interpretation. And you're probably right too. Unless you've got something like aliens or baseball players coming in, if you've based your interpretation on the words here in the text, you've got it right. Let's listen to the song. Is that song, and the very last screen that you saw was a little teaser for what's coming up next. But before we can get into working with the song, we want to make sure that we understand all the words that are in there. And there are a lot of phrases and expressions that come up in this particular song. The first one's just free to be you and me. If we look at a literal translation, it may be different from the figurative meanings and what we understand. We don't literally translate these words into, we can be ourselves, but that's the meaning. There aren't any limits on who we are, but that's part of the meaning too. And no one can tell us who to be. That's definitely not what the translation says, but it's part of the meaning of this phrase, free to be you and me. Another phrase here was, from where we are. So here's a literal translation, from where we are. But the figurative meaning could be from our point of view. Starting here, where we are right now, together, this is the situation we're facing, and let's look toward the future. Take my hand. Literally, you could take my hand, but that's definitely not the figurative meaning here. It means be with me. Come hold hands with me. Trust me. You wouldn't take the hand. You wouldn't hold hands with somebody that you don't trust. So take my hand is a way of bringing us together, a way of saying, we're going to go, you can trust me, come this way with me. And that doesn't fit the literal translation. So we need to balance the figurative meanings with the literal meanings. But understanding the literal words helps us to understand the metaphors and the meanings. To be his own man or to be her own woman has these translations, and the figurative meaning of be yourself. You can be your own man, and you can be your own woman. Be an individual. And don't let anybody else tell you who you should be. Be yourself. That's the figurative meaning. Lend your voice. If I lend you a few shekels, you'll have to pay them back to me. Can I lend you my voice? Not really. It's got the meaning of to borrow and lend, but figuratively, it means tell other people that you agree with me. It means that you should speak out too. Bring your voice to be heard with all the others. Join the crowd. Here's what we want the message to be. If I say something, well, that's fine. There's one person who says it. But if you say the same thing, and so do you, and so do you, and so do you, all of us together saying the same thing, we're going to be able to bring about change. We're going to be able to make a difference. So lend your voice means to bring your ideas together with mine. Come along. There's a translation, and the figurative meaning, join me. Come with me. Do what I'm doing. Come along, let's do this together. It's got a similar meaning to come with me, but a very different translation. So come with me also has an idea of trust me. We are together. Follow me and my ideas. And where are we going? To a land. But to a land is kind of not specific. It's a place. It's a different country. It's an open space. Destination unknown. And in this song, it's to a place that doesn't really exist yet that we want to bring about. Let's go together and make it happen. Now that we know all the words, we want to listen to it again and see how much more meaning we've got in listening to this again. Here we go. Well, we've heard that again. That song always makes me smile. Let's look at it. Let's analyze it. Let's pick it apart. What's the story here? We've got a story of people with a dream. People with a dream of a place where everybody can be themselves. A place where they can be together, where they can become their own person, where nobody's telling them what to do. But none of this is told in the negative. It's a story of a hope and a dream that they hope will be shared with you. What's the message? The message is together we can get there. We can make this change. And how does this apply to me? Do I have any control over this situation? Yeah, this song is all about you and me. Or you and me. It's about we as individuals making the change to make the world what we want it to be. It's about making your dreams come true. That's the message of this story. So we're going to do an activity here. We're going to write our own ideas. This is the last rendition of the chorus. And I want you to take some paper and to start copying this. Come with me, take my hand, and we'll run to a land where. Fill in the dream. What do you want to be in that place? What do you want to see in that land? Where is the place where you and me are free to be ourselves. What does it look like to you? Here's my sample. I filled this in like this. Come with me, take my hand, and we'll run to a land where there is no virus, to a land where schools are open, to a land where we can meet our friends, to a land where the virus is gone, to a land where the people are free, and you and me are free to be, and you and me are free to be, you and me. It's your turn. Write the words that you want. Choose what you want to see in that future. You can look in the short-term future, the long-term future, the really long-range future. It's up to you, whatever your imagination is. But before we get there, of course it's an English lesson. I've got to pull out the grammar note. And there's a relative pronoun that we heard here again and again. That relative pronoun, where. In this song, where is not a question. It tells us more about the location. It gives us more information. If we write a sentence like, let's go to the park, we might not know which park. But if we use the relative pronoun where, and we write, let's go to the park where the swings are, oh, I know which park that is. Or let's go to the park where we can walk our dog. I know where that park is. It's a different one. So the where helps us to give more information about the location. Do you remember the trip? I don't know, which trip? Be more specific. Do you remember the trip where we saw the big statue? Oh yeah, that was New York City. I remember that. Can you find a place where you can wash your hands? So these are all uses of the relative pronoun where as it's used in this song to give more information about that dream of a place that has the ideal situation that we want to get to. The relative pronouns, where isn't the only one. You also have when to give more information about time, which to give more information about things. You may notice that these sound similar to, in fact, they're the same words as the question words. And the reason for that is that if you don't give enough information, then we need to ask questions. So we can use the same words to give the answers to the questions before we get there. So where for places, when for time, which for things. That can be for things or for people. Who can be for people. And whose is the things that belong to people. You know that as a question word. Whose clicker is this? Whose book is that? We could use it in the same way as I want to talk to the person whose clicker this is. I want to talk to the person whose lunch was left out on the table. So we know how to use these. We're familiar with them. That's just another example of the use of relative pronouns. So I'm going to play the song during the break. Can I do that? I'm not sure if it'll work. We'll play the song during the break, and you will take a listen. You'll take that phrase, that last final stanza, and write your own words to where you think the ideal world happens. And I'll see you back in 10 minutes. Welcome back. We're looking into Free to Be You and Me, and during the break, maybe you got a chance to write your own dream, your own idea of what the ideal world would look like. Let's take a look. We're going to review your songs, look at the structure of the songs in general, review vocabulary, and do some imaginative writing. So, who wants to go first and sing their song? No, don't all shout at once. Okay, I can hear that you guys have some great ideas going on. I've got an idea. How about when we're done here, you sing that to your family or send it to your teachers? Maybe record yourself. Maybe you'll combine what you've got here with what we're going to do at the end. Let's see, hang on to it for a while. I'm proud of you. You guys have done a good job. Now, the song on the screen is too small for you to read. That's not the idea. We're going to look at the structure. Take a look. Do you see how it's separated with a blank line between the sets of lines? Each of those sets is called a stanza. And the ones that repeat in the middle are called the chorus. What we worked on during break was writing our own version of the chorus. And the chorus carries the main idea of the song. Between the repetitions of the chorus, we have the verses, and each verse is part of telling the story of the song. Now, what's the difference between a poem and a song? That's where we get into these words, tune, melody, and harmony. The tune is the music that goes along with this song. The melody is what repeats. That's the part that gets stuck in your head. And the harmony are the bits of extra that come along to enrich the song. When you hear two voices at once, one is carrying the harmony and enriching, the other is carrying the melody and keeping us consistent with that same song. So when you hear a melody, it reminds you of the whole song. When you hear the harmony, without the melody, it may not fit. But the whole thing together is the tune itself. So that's the structure of a song. Now let's look in detail at the verses in this particular song. In the first verse, it goes like this. There's a land that I see where the children are free. And I say it ain't far. Ain't is colloquial for is. I say it isn't far for proper English. To this land from where we are. Here in the first two lines, we've got a prediction. A land that I can see. I can imagine it. It's in the future. It's there. It's not far away. Take my hand, come with me to that place where the children are free. Come with me, take my hand, and we'll live. We've got a plan. So the structure of this song has, in the verse, a prediction of what will be and a plan of how to get there. In the second verse, we continue the story. I see a land bright and clear, and the time's coming near. We're again in the language of prediction. When we live in this land, you and me hand in hand, take my hand, come along, lend your voice to my song, come along, take my hand, sing a song. Here's how we can get there. We can get there by singing this song together. We can reach the bright and clear place where we're going to live together hand in hand, where we're going to be equal, where we can be anything we want to be, and this is how to get there. When we lead into the big finale, every boy in this land grows to be his own man, and in this land, every girl grows to be her own woman. That's the prediction of what this place is all about. Take my hand, come with me where the children are free. Come with me, take my hand, and we'll run. And then it gets back into the chorus, to a land, to a land. That's where we're going to run to. We're going to get there, and we can get there fast by following the steps that are described in this song. Do we want to listen to it again? Let's hear it now that we really understand, and try and sing your verse along with them at the end. Here it goes. Let's sing our last stanza together. Shout yours out. Sing it out with me. To a land where there is no virus, to a land where schools are open, to a land where we can meet our friends, to a land where the virus is gone, to a land where the people are free, and you and me are free to be, and you and me are free to be, you and me. All right, we've learned the song, we've listened to it a couple of times, we know the vocabulary, but let's just make sure. Let's just take one last look and make sure we understand the words and the meanings and how words and meanings work together to bring the message of the song. Free to be, you and me. From where we are, from right here, looking out at that amazing new future. Take my hand, let's do this together. Be your own man, be your own woman. We can do this. You can grow up to be anything you want to be. Lend your voice. If we all sing this together, it will become the new reality. Come along, come with me, trust me, let's do this. Follow these ideas. To where? To a land that we build ourselves, the way we can dream, to the future that we make. And the structure of a song, a stanza, each piece on its own, the verses that carry the story, the chorus which emphasizes the message, the tune which makes us all want to sing along, the melody, that part that gets stuck in our head that repeats, and the harmony that brings color and brings the whole song to life. Fabulous words to use when we talk about songs. And of course the relative pronouns. To a land where the future is ours to make, in a time when we make our dreams come true, in a place which we can dream, doing things that we want to do. With who? With you and with me. And whose future is this? It's ours. And for whom do we build this future? For you and me. All right, the task we're going to do is that we're going to roll this all together. All of these wonderful ideas are going to roll together, and we're going to write our own song. So how do you do that? How do you write a song like this? Well, you start with a dream. And when you have a dream of what the ideal world looks like, what the future possibility might be, when you really think about what you want, that's where you can start creative writing. You start with a dream. And then you start writing. I like to start with the chorus because that's the main idea. You start with this big idea of what the world will look like. Where are we going with this? And then use the verses to explain the details, to tell the story, following a pattern, giving the ideas again and again in a little bit of a different way, with a progression from the beginning through the middle and toward the ending. You're going to write those different pieces in a way that tell the story and are supported by your chorus. Did you notice, as you were looking at the words and listening to the song, that each time the chorus changed just a little bit? To a land, for a land, in a land. They changed those prepositions to give a little bit of different direction to where things were going. When you write your own, you can make those small changes. As long as they don't change the rhythm, they're not going to change your song, but they can help move your ideas forward. So when you're writing the verses, you're thinking about the forward movement of your story. Use some new phrases that we've learned. Come with me, take my hand, lend your voice, lend your ears. Use some of these expressions to bring your ideas out in your writing. And the relative pronouns. Those relative pronouns help us give more information about where, when, how, who things are happening. Anytime you want to describe what's going on, you can use these relative pronouns to give more description and to make it more clear what your dream is and how it will come to pass. You're also going to want to publish this. Once you've written a song, you've written something that's got these ideas that you want to bring it forward, share it at home. Sing it, speak it, write it, read it, show it to the people around you. Send it to your teacher. This is something creative that you built using your English skills, using new words that you've learned, using the structure of a song that you've been introduced to. That's a wonderful thing. You're going to want to share that with your teacher. Maybe you even want to post it on social media. These days, there is no end to how you can publish your ideas and share them with the world. I'm going to play the song one more time to inspire you while you're writing. Listen, follow along. Oh. So, you had a chance to listen again. Did you write down some of those great ideas? Did you dream? There's plenty of time. If you didn't get it done in these few minutes with this song playing in the background, don't worry. There's plenty of time for you to engage in your creative process. And you know what? You don't have to follow the pattern of this song. In fact, you could take any song and listen to it and hear the patterns and decide which elements fit how you want your message to move forward and which elements don't fit. Change things to fit your dream and write your ideas. As long as you say where the original came from. Give credit to the people who wrote the music. Give credit to Marlo Thomas and all of the folks that she worked with in writing this song and producing that album. You can use their ideas and their tunes to get your ideas across. You can also, if you're musically talented, or even if you're not talented, you can write your own music and take the chance. Now we've got some free time. Take the time to put your ideas to music. You learned a lot of phrases in this particular song, but these phrases aren't stuck only in that song. These phrases are yours that you can take and use in any song. And in fact, you can take all the words you know and use them figuratively and literally. The idea of take my hand, of holding hands, has so much meaning. And when you say, take my hand, the people who are listening to you can imagine what it feels like to hold someone else's hand, to go along with them. And it helps to move your message forward if you're using a metaphor that people can relate to. So when people hear, take my hand, they think about what it feels like, in what situations they held hands with somebody, how they moved forward with somebody. How does it feel to hold a hand when you're crossing the street, or to hold your hand when you're feeling romantic? They're different feelings, but all of those feelings come into a person's mind when you use that metaphor. So choose your words carefully, because your words carry your message. And even if it's not the message you intend, if you use a phrase like, take my hand, and that has a connotation for a particular person of maybe being dragged somewhere, they may not hear the same message that you heard or that you felt, but that doesn't mean that message isn't there in your song. So words have a lot of power. And when you use your words, use them accurately and use them to pass your messages. And this is one of the main reasons, if we go back to the history of the Free to Be You and Me project, the intent was to create a new set of stories and songs that break down the cultural stereotypes and the gender stereotypes and create a world that Marlo Thomas imagined. That she and her friends and the other people she was working with politically, the message they wanted, and they created this set of music to move their message forward. Your message may be different from theirs. You can put it to music and move it forward. It's a very powerful way to move messages through song and through stories. We get a lot of our ideas about life through stories and songs. In fact, many of you students have said to me that your English is so good because you love listening to music and you learn the words through the music. I can't tell you how many times I've heard a student talk about a phrase from a song, and I've said, you know what that means? They say, yeah, of course I do. It's in this song. And they do know what it means. They understand. Even very high-level words, they understand because they're brought along with the music and the stories. So it's a powerful tool, and I encourage you not only to write your own songs, but to publish them, share them with the world, share them with your teachers, with your families, and with your friends. And I hope that you find lots of inspiration to take yourself into this vacation and into learning English and this adventure. I wish you the best of luck.